So you want a sales manager, but you can't afford a sales manager just yet. And here's the reality. You don't need a sales manager in order to get accountability and start building a high performance culture inside of your sales team. If you have 2 to 3 reps, you need exactly 3 things and about 1 hour per day in order to start building an operating system that functions. This is the same operating system that I build inside of 8-figure sales teams, scaled down to the size that you're currently at. Let's get into it. So here's the problem. You've got 3 reps and you're trying to manage them all and still run the business, right? And so by default, all of the sales management falls on you. And the reality is if there's no system, then this becomes a chaotic mess. You're constantly coaching on instinct, what you feel like is going wrong or what is going bad. There's no actual cadence, and you're just servicing whatever fires happen during the day. The reality is nobody owns their numbers, not the sales reps, not the founder. They don't know what sort of input or output they're doing, and thus you don't know what sort of input or output they're doing, and thus the results are always questionable or they're volatile. And the reality is none of that gets reflected on, right? So no calls at the end of the day are being analyzed or reviewed. Nobody's writing down what's working, what's not working. And the sales floor is just a chaotic mess that's drifting in all different directions. What this means is the ceiling on your sales team is just whatever you can personally hold. And that's why it feels challenging. So here's the framework that you can install, and it's really just 3 pillars. That is it. The entire operating system runs on 3 pillars, and nothing else goes in until these 3 pillars are locked in. And this is what I call a sales team OS, a sales team operating system. So pillar number 1 is daily huddles. Every day, no matter what, the team shows up, we set the tone for the day, we review our numbers from yesterday, and we do training first thing. And what happens here is if after reviewing this video, if all you did was install a daily huddle into your sales team, you're going to start to see improvement, because what happens is when your reps show up to that daily huddle and they know that they're going to review their numbers from the previous day, they start to build intrinsic pressure, accountability to start performing, and they don't want to show up and look bad in front of their peers, in front of you, or even just for themselves, right? And so we start to see accountability and leadership start to happen, right? And they start motivating themselves, because when they see their team members winning and they're sharing these results, they start building the team culture of us winning as a team together. The second pillar is tracking, right? And so many people are quick to do automated tracking or analytics inside of the CRM or whatever dashboard they have. And in the beginning, I actually think this is the worst thing that you can do. It has to be manual. Your sales reps have to feel, know, and understand and have an intimate relationship with their numbers. And if it's automated, they're not going to look at it every day. They're not going to understand the numbers. Yeah, you're measuring it, but they're not actually looking at how can I improve, and they're not understanding the numbers and changing behaviors based off that. If they own it and you make it mandatory that it's manual tracking, they're really going to have an intimate relationship with these numbers, and they're going to do it on a day-to-day basis. And then the third pillar is end of day reports. This is a reflection on the call activity that you had throughout the day. What went well? What did you do really good on that call so you can continue doing that moving forward? Where could we have improved? What was the thing on that call that prevented us from getting the result that we wanted? And then what was the next step, right? Is there a next step locked in for each and every call? And then you have some end of day tasks that you have to do, and you just check those off. You submit your report, and that's it. So that's the sales team operating system. As a founder, the intention is for you to be able to run this in just 1 hour per day. So let's break it down. Pillar number 1, daily huddles. First thing, every day, non-negotiable, no matter what. Everyone's there, everyone's on time, and you run it in this order. We start by wins. Everyone's shouting out either a client win or a team shout out. And the reason that we do this is because we want to build conviction in our product, our process, with our clients, and in our team members, right? So wins and shout outs first and foremost. Then we go into numbers. All right, what did we do yesterday? What did we project that we were going to do yesterday? Did we hit it? Yes or no? Why not? Okay, cool. There's an opportunity for some micro coaching there and accountability. And then reset today's projections. Here's what I'm going to do today based on activity, volume, whether it's for a setter, it's number of dials, number of sets, and set closes for a closer, it's how many calls I'm going to run, how many offers I'm going to make, ultimately how many closes and how much cash I'm going to get in today. And the last thing here is train. While you have the sales team, while you have your reps there, you might as well get them used to drilling and training so they're constantly sharpening their sword. So what does the training look like? It's pretty simple. Here's a standard training cadence that you can adopt, and you break it up by day of the week so that every day of the week you're covering a piece of the script. So you're constantly reviewing the script. So on Monday, we're drilling intro and opening frame of the call. Everyone in the team is doing it. On Tuesday, we're going through discovery. We're drilling and role playing the discovery questions, digging for pain, expanding vision. On Wednesday, we focus on the pitch, just the pillars inside of your pitch. And then on Thursday, we focus on close. How do we ask for the money? How do we handle different objections? We can drill, we can role play, we can hash out, strategize. If somebody had an objection that they weren't able to face, let's hash it out as a team. Let's create the talk track. Let's put it into the playbook, and then we'll drill it. And then on Friday, I usually use this as for like whatever's hurt, whatever's broken inside the team, or whatever the team in that moment really needs support with, we'll focus on that. And so you get used to the training cadence. You don't have to think about it. You already know what you're going to do every day of the week, and you just have to do it. And the other thing I do is I'm always looking for calls where these things were done properly and they're executed at a high level and we got the result that we wanted, meaning the deal closed, right? And so what I'll do is I'll find those specific calls and I'll review them with the team. So if we're in discovery and somebody had a really solid discovery, I want to highlight that and I want to start to give that sales rep kudos and positively reinforce things that they're doing. So I'll bring that call forward, we'll review it as a team, and we'll just highlight all of the great things that they did so that everybody around them can see that when you run a discovery this way and execute it, you get this result, you get a closed deal. And so now your whole team will start to adopt these behaviors. And so we're constantly positively reinforcing all of these types of behaviors. So that's pillar number one. And here's what I'd say, and this is a quote directly from a coaching call that I was on recently, is by implementing just this pillar, you create an accountability loop where even if you didn't even coach, even if you didn't do any training or reviews, if you just track those numbers in that meeting, just the projections that they're going to hit that day, your reps will feel an intrinsic pressure to hit those numbers, and they show up. And when they see other people around them winning and hitting their numbers, they feel bad about themselves. And so they put the extra effort the next day so that they can show up with their numbers either hit or exceeded. So this is why it works. Now, pillar number two, we track everything. We track everything and by hand initially, right? So every rep, every day, 100% mandatory, logged at the end of the day inside of a dashboard, right? There's no exceptions here. It has to be done. On the setting side, we're looking at how many dials, we're looking at conversations, we're looking at sets closed, sets that showed up that received offers, revenue, and cash collected. So that's the setting side. On the closing side, we're looking at how many calls were booked, how many calls showed, how many of those shows received an offer, how many closed, ultimately what was the revenue, the deposits, and the cash collected that day. And this breaks out into a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual dashboard so that the reps can see all tied into one. Now, pillar number three, here's how we close the day. So pillar number three is end of day reports. So this is all about reflection, self-assessment, and self-improvement, what I call the growth cycle, right? And so most people will skip this one because it's the most tedious, but the reality is this is the most important thing if you want to have a sales team that is constantly growing, improving, and ultimately scaling. And so in the end of day report, our sales reps have to assess every single call that they had. What went well? What didn't go so good? Where could I have improved? What should I have done different? What we're looking for here is we want to start to see the patterns. We want the reps to recognize the patterns before us, the sales leaders, start to see the patterns, because if they can recognize it, then they can self-correct and they can tweak what they need to do in order to continue improving. But if they don't recognize it, we can start seeing the patterns that are happening on a day-to-day basis, and we can jump in and we can lead, coach, and help them get back on track. The next thing that we do is we name the next step of every single call. Every call that was on the calendar cost the founder, cost the company money, and everyone gets a defined next step, whether it was a close loss, whether it's we're moving them into an offer, whether it's we booked the follow-up, but every single call has to have a next step no matter what. And then from a leadership top-down perspective, these end of day reports are going to feed your training for tomorrow. So the cycle completes itself, right? And you can read the outcomes of the calls and you'll start to pull the calls that look good, that look like maybe this was a challenging call. Let's review it in front of the team so that we can all learn and grow from it. And so the end of the day reports are going to feed tomorrow's training. So here's what your daily loop would look like. The 3 pillars aren't just tasks, they're an operating system. One loop, what closes today, sets the cadence for tomorrow's meeting. So we're going to start at the top in the morning with your morning huddle. Wins, numbers, drill, 30 to 45 minutes, they're in and they're out. Number 2 is your reps are out in the field selling. There's really only 2 things during the day that a sales rep should be doing. They should be either on a call generating revenue or trying to generate a call in order to get back on a call to generate revenue. The only 2 activities any sales rep should be focused on during the day. Number 3 is your end of day report. So here's where you're tracking, here's where they're doing their end of day report. They're logging the numbers, they're reflecting on each call, they're locking in the next step. And then the last step is to review the process. And this is for the sales manager, the sales leader, or the founder. If you're leading the team, is you're reviewing all of the reps' end of day reports. You're picking up what you want to drill the next day or the next week. What I always tell sales managers is you can do this 2 different ways. You can do it at the end of the day, so late at night. If your reps all have to submit the report by 9 p.m. or by a certain time, then you can review them after. I find that for me, that strategy doesn't work. What I do is I give my reps until midnight to review the report, and then I get up early the next day, and I'm always reviewing yesterday's reports in the morning and commenting and whatnot, and looking for what we're going to use for the training the next day. If you want to keep a super tight system here, 15 minutes before the meeting, you can log on and review the reports, and then you show up to the meeting, run the meeting for 45 minutes and get them on the way. And that's your loop, an hour a day. Now, in order to install this, a lot of people will try and do things one at a time or say it's a lot to put in. But the reality is if you just do it all at once, it's going to make your life so much easier, right? So don't do it one pillar at a time. You just need one pivotal moment with the sales team that everybody commits to implementing and adopting the system. And you want to have a reason for them to want it, right? And so I always tie it back to their goals, their vision, what they want for themselves personally, from an income, financial perspective, and then ultimately from a career perspective, right? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to have a heart-to-heart with the team and just let them know that what we're doing currently is not working. And we have to make a change for everyone's sake in order to keep everybody here. This is how high performance teams and cultures get built, right? Everybody makes more money, everybody grows, everybody's held to a higher standard, and the company grows with them. So the next thing you want to do is you want to run an installation incentive. So after this heart to heart, the next thing that you want to do is you want to run some sort of incentive for installing this system with the team. So you just ask them, hey guys, let's do this. Let's implement this for 1 month. And if everybody on the team can do this and we stay consistent, then we're going to win this incentive, whether it's cash, whether it's a bonus, whether it's a team dinner, whatever it is, you put an incentive that everybody's working towards. And then here's how you make it stick. It has to be all or nothing, right? So one person, one bad apple ruins it for the bunch, right? So if one person slips, nobody gets the incentive. So what's going to happen here is instead of you being the cop that's policing all the behaviors, your team, your sales reps will start policing themselves and each other because they don't want to let them down. Therefore, they're going to make sure that they're doing the things every day. So 1 month, everyone in, all of us win or none of us do. And the reality is if you can commit to this for 1 month, if your team can commit to this for 1 month, the improvements that you're going to see are going to be drastic. And it's going to be really easy to make this a behavior because they're going to automatically see how this is going to help them create more money, more growth, more freedom in their careers, in their job, and in their lives. So that's the basic self-team operating system. 3 things, about an hour a day. And if you run it with 2 to 3 reps, you'll be tighter than teams that are 5 times your size, right? So the Cadence is the system, huddles, tracking, reflection, always documented, not in your head. The manual version has a ceiling right around 3 to 5 reps, and definitely by 10 or 20, it stops holding. And the reality is because as a founder, you can't read every single report and comment and do all those things anymore. It starts to take up more of your time, right? So by the time you have 10 or 15 or 20 reps, that alone is a second job, right? And then the other thing is self-reported numbers will start to drift, right? If no one's reconciling the numbers that your reps are putting in, the accuracy of the dashboard that you're using and making decisions on will start to drift just because there's human error. And then because of those things, the patterns will start to disappear. They'll start to dissipate a little bit. And so you won't be able to spot the true trends by memory. If you're reviewing 2 or 3 reps, it's really easy for you to start to see the patterns. Across 20 or more reps, it's much harder for you to see individual patterns. So the patterns will disappear. So after 15 years of sales management experience, I realized that yes, we can run the basic version inside of the larger sales teams, but it starts to become much more difficult. And now with the access to AI and software development, it's been so much easier to take all of these systems and build them into one platform, one software that is the one source of truth. So there's zero guesswork inside of your sales team. So every single tool that your sales team run is synced to one truth layer, and every seat from setter to founder opens up to exactly what it needs. So this is the sales team operating system that I use to run 8-figure sales floors. And so we start from the bottom, and the reality is every single sales team has all these different scattered pieces of tech. They have the CRM, they have their dialing different phone systems, they have payments, they have invoicing software, they have their accounting software. Maybe they have inventory or a community, or if it's in info products, like an online learning management system, then you have your different calendars and your ad platforms, and you have Slack for communication, and maybe you're doing your end of day reports inside of Slack as well. And then you have all these spreadsheets that are gluing everything together. And so at scale, this becomes a very hard to manage, chaotic mess, right? And the problem is there's no one single source of truth. So the next layer that I wanted to build inside this software is a single source of truth. All of the tech compiled into one source of truth, every single tool synced and normalized into the truth layer. So there's no more arguing around about what numbers are right and what numbers are not. And then on top of that truth layer, we have our pillars, right? So daily huddles, they're run, they're tracked, and they're scored inside of the software. So you or the manager can see every day whether the huddle was run, and then we can get a score on the huddle. And are we doing the things? Are we reviewing numbers? Are we doing the micro coaching? Are we training and drilling? Is that happening, right? So there's an accountability, transparency piece into our daily huddles. Pillar 2 is tracking. Every number reconciled, right? All the analytics built in, and the accuracy is known 100% accurate because it's coming from the pieces of tech that are running the different calls, the calendars, the CRM, all of that. And so your sales reps numbers, what they're entering manually, are automatically tracked against what's actually happening. And then pillar 3 is the end of day reports, right? Compliance. Are these reports happening on a day-to-day basis? Are we tracking that they're on time, that they're complete, that they're thorough? And then we have an AI layer that's analyzing the reports and helping the reps spot patterns that they may not be seeing. But also from a top-down management perspective, we're looking and we're seeing, how can we help our team improve? Where are they struggling? What are they doing well? And this all opens up to every single seat on the sales team, right? So a setter will have their own dashboard, their analytics, and their own reporting. A closer will have their own dashboard and with all their analytics and their reporting. And then your sales coordinator, your sales manager has to be able to see everything the team is doing, as with the sales director. And then on top of that, your revenue officer, your founder, and your finance team, so that you can have comp and commission and tracking, all of that. So this is 15 years of sales management experience built into one software, one source of truth. And this is actually what I'm going to be building moving forward. So if this sounds interesting to you, keep following along. I'm going to be sharing how I'm building this, how I'm using it, the challenges, the struggles, what's working, what's not working. And I'll share that with you guys. So cheers. Hey, by the way, my name is Chris Sanchez, and I build predictable, elite, and fully systemized sales teams. I've helped clients generate over $54 million in revenue and ramped countless sales reps using the approach that I call the sales team operating system. What you just watched was a real sales team OS session that I pulled from a live client. If you want to see exactly how I run, manage, and scale elite 8-figure sales teams, don't click away just yet. In this next video right here, there's another Sales Team Was breakdown where I go deeper into the building, coaching, managing elite reps. Go ahead and click it and enjoy. Cheers.